We are going to be naming our Team USA hockey roster for the upcoming Italy Olympics in 2026. Yes, we are Canadian, but this US roster has a lot of NHL players that are going to be involved. So we are going to give it a crack on our thoughts of what this roster should be. Last year, there were some mistakes. They went with a less talented route and a more gritty lineup. This year, you could tell by, I think, both their lineups, honestly, it's going to be a little bit more on the talent side and people that are going to make it. We know it's going to be tough because it's a hard list to make. At the end of the day, there are going to be some big snubs out there, but we want to hear your comments down below. Your Team USA roster is going to be. So I'm going to name my forward groups first, and then you'll name yours, and we'll talk about it from there. Top line, I went with Jack Eichel, Jake Gensel, and Matthew Tkachuk. He should be back playing hockey soon anyways. And that's another thing I want to say, injuries. If we know they're out for the year, they're not on this roster. If we know they should be coming back or is a short-term injury, they will be back. Austin Matthews is my second line centering Jason Robertson and Jack Hughes. Third line, I have Tage Thompson, Matt Boldy, Cole Caulfield. Fourth line, I have Dylan Larkin, Brady Tkachuk, Kyle Connor, and my extras are Clayton Keller and Matthew Nyes.
I have Eichel and Kachucks, Matthews, Gensel, Jack Hughes, Dylan Larkin, Kyle Connor, Matthew Boldy, Tage Thompson, Cole Caulfield, Matthew Nyes, Robertson, and JT Miller right now is listed as extras. Again, don't take too much consideration. We didn't take too much consideration to the lines. We just wanted to get the people in the roster and who we think could be the best fit for the Americans, even though I hope they pick the most shittiest roster possible for our sake. But overall, in this case...
We're going to put the bias aside.
Yeah, we're going to put the bias aside. So I genuinely believe that this is just our belief that this could be the best roster they could put out there to have the most amount of success.
So I don't have JT Miller. Who don't you have that I don't have? Gensel, Eichel, Tkachuk, Robertson.
Keller.
So you don't have Keller.
So I just picked Miller over Keller.
Okay, so let's talk about the one miss we have here. I went with Keller because he's just having the better year.
Yeah, that's fair.
Listen, JT Miller, I understand he's going to get in. He's the captain of the New York Rangers. Who's their head coach? Mike Sullivan. Mike Sullivan is the head coach of Team USA. We know he's probably going to get in. But at the end of the day, I'm not necessarily going for predictions here. If I was going for predictions, I would put JT Miller in there. At the end of the day, he was still fine last year during the Four Nations as well. He was obviously he's gonna be more of their grit guy when it comes down to it. But overall, like I said, I went with more of a talented lineup. Clayton Keller Utah Mammoth had a hot start to the year. Obviously, a snub there could be Logan Cooley for them, but Clayton Keller overall is still their best player. And I thought he was snubbed last year, and he should be on it this year.
It's not a mistake here. I just went with Miller just because of one more experience. He's been on the team.
The grit.
And the grit, because obviously we want more talented routes, so you got to keep a little bit of grit in there. So, again, last year, to me, it didn't make sense to have Miller and Trocheck, right? And this year, I just okay, you got to have Tage Thompson in there just because I think he has the
Another snub from last year?
Yeah, he has the most even strength goals in the NHL, I believe, if I'm not mistaken about that. So, I was they missed, again, benching Connor last year was a mistake. Thank you, because he would have made a difference. And the Matthew Nyes, he's probably one of the more surprised ones that's making it, but he's been one of the best forwards for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's been better than his teammate on this list in Austin Matthews. This season, I would say so, because Austin Matthews, I'm talking about in terms of potential. I'm not saying he's outdoing Austin Matthews or anything.
Yeah.
But he might be, who knows. But I'm talking about in terms of reaching the potential, because Austin Matthews is not playing like Austin Matthews. Matthew Nyes is playing like the best version of Matthew Nyes. That's the point I want to make.
The other big snub from last year, in my opinion, was Jason Robertson. Obviously, I have him playing up higher. I think he's leading the Americans in points, if I'm not mistaken. At least when I made this roster.
He's up there in goals, yeah.
He's been up there. You have him as an extra. I know you didn't look at the lines too much there. The reason why I have him playing with Austin Matthews is Austin Matthews should be your scorer, your sniper. Jason Robertson's a good playmaking winger, in my opinion, as well, and he'll be able to set him up there. But I want to ask you one thing before we move on to our snubs. Who should be the captain? Because, listen, in my opinion, the best American forward... Actually, we'll talk about the captain at the end because we should talk about our defense as well first. But in terms of the best American forward, that's easily Jack Eichel now, right? It's not Austin Matthews.
In the moment, right? Right now, it's Jack Eichel. It's just simple as that.
Yeah.
It's just Austin Matthews has not been good for the last year and a half, in my opinion. He hasn't been playing at his level at all. And again, if he's playing at his level, then it's clear. Is Austin Matthews the best one? Because this guy's a literal 60-goal scorer. But he's not at that level right now. And he has been disappointing. It's just simple as that. So, yeah, at the moment, Eichel is the best forward. That's why he has the 1C for us, for both of us.
Yeah, I put him on my 1C for that reason as well. And overall, hopefully Matthew Tkachuk in terms of watching as a neutral, for people that are going to be neutrals watching this, comes back and plays this, because we know if you want this rivalry of Canada USA to go, we need a Matthew Tkachuk in there. But we'll see what ends up happening overall. Our snubs, the snubs that I looked at, not as big as Canada's in my opinion. I know like the guys that made it last year, I don't think any. I mean, Chris Kreider's having a good year for Anaheim. Will he get in? I doubt it. But I'm just saying like him. Obviously, for me, JT Miller didn't make it. For me, Trocheck didn't make it, and then obviously there was one. Well, Brock Nelson didn't make it, obviously. But for me, Alex Drbinka is having a good year for Detroit.
Been good, yeah.
I was considering him. Cutter Gauthier.
Gauthier as well.
I know Canada, I put the young guys in there. It was hard for me to put them over some of these guys in Team USA at the moment. But again, won't be mad if Cutter Gauthier finds his way in this roster as well, because he's been good for Anaheim. And the last one, I went with the old head, Patrick Kane. Listen, he's been a point-a-game guy over there with Detroit as well. And listen, if he comes in as an extra, be the vet guy, because again, we already dropped our Team Canada one already as you're watching this. And that one, I had Drew Doughty making it, because I feel like you need that veteran guy, that what it means to be wearing this Canadian jersey representing Canada, because he's been there as a young guy and played pretty much ever since. You might need that with Patrick Kane, because Patrick Kane is his era's GOAT in terms of that American GOAT.
Best American.
He's arguably the best American player of all time. And like he was the main guy for the 2010, 2014 teams, and if any worlds he played in on all that stuff as well. So I wouldn't be upset if Team USA selected Patrick Kane for not just the leadership side of things, but he also deserves to be on it with his play as well. Do you have any other snubs?
No, those are the main ones here. Obviously, Logan Cooley, where you mentioned as well. I mentioned Clay earlier. And you already mentioned JT Miller as well. So,
I mean, JT Miller, I didn't really consider him too much because of the play.
Yeah, but overall, I just feel like it felt a little bit easier for this. The only one, again, I could see Nyes coming out and like a guy like Cutter Gauthier coming in. That's also valid. But I feel like there are a lot more locks here that are easier to like lock in than it was for Team Canada.
Here's the thing. You know what's weird to
Team
say?
Canada in the terms of forward groups.
Jack Hughes is the way he performed last year, now being injured again. Obviously, he might not be a lock, but I feel like obviously his reputation will get him in as a lock. Another one of his brothers on the team is gonna be. He's already on the team because he was announced as the first six. I'm not saying that was gonna be the reason, but I think this is gonna be his chance to like prove it. Like, hey, last year was a different situation when it comes to the four nations. We'll see what happens during this playoff team as well. Before we go to our defensive group here, we mentioned we already dropped our Team Canada one as well, so make sure you guys check out that video as well if you want to see what our Team Canada roster looks like. Hit the subscribe button. We hit over 150 subscribers recently. We appreciate everybody for the support, so make sure you guys hit the post notification bell, because we're going to have Olympic prep as the weeks approach to the Olympics as well. And make sure you guys hit the like button and comment down below, like I said, what your Team USA roster will look like. But let's move on to the defense. No, first pairing, it was Quinn Hughes, but then it was with Charlie McAvoy. But I changed that now because Quinn Hughes is now the member of the Minnesota Wild. I put him with Brock Faber off the bat because that's his current defensive pair. Why would you want to break that up anyways? And of course, Billy Guerin's the guy who's running the team. So of course, he's going to tell the coach to put these guys together. They weren't already playing together during the regular season. So next line. I hope for USA's sake, this guy makes the team and he's healthy. Jacob Slavin with Adam Fox is looking for a bounce-back year as well. A bounce-back international year as well, because he was not great for the Four Nations last year. However, he went up there as one of the best defensemen, offensively producing-wise, in the out of the Americans this year in the NHL. Next one, this is where I've flipped Faber and McAvoy. So it's Werenski and McAvoy now for me. And the last one I have is John Carlson and Jake Sanderson.
Look.
As my extras.
We have their 7. The 7 is the same as last year, basically. I went Hughes, McAvoy, Werenski, Fox, Slavin, and Faber. And obviously Sanderson was one of the extras last year. So obviously there's 2 extras. So the person I added in is another young stud, Lane Hudson.
So here, okay, that's where is it, so who do you have out?
So you have John Carlson, yeah.
So this is where I went a little bit kind of hypocritical what I said in the Canada video with Schaefer. However, in this situation, I went with John Carlson. Again, him and Chychrun for Canada have been having great years. I snubbed Chychrun there. I think John Carlson deserves to make it on this team. That's number 1. 2, I understand that I said that in the Canada video. Age, it doesn't matter if you're the best player, you're the better player. In this case, listen, John Carlson and Lane Hudson have been very similar. So I'm not saying anything of that and bad in that sense. What I said about Drew Doughty making the team, you needed an older vet to lead that defense or the team overall in general. That's John Carlson for me when it comes to this defense, because he's going to be the older guy on this. And listen, again, I know what Canucks fans are going to say. Hughes wasn't a great captain there, but when he was good, when the Canucks made the playoffs, he was a good captain in that sense. Obviously, you have McAvoy and all these guys that are going to be good leaders there. But I just want to just go on John Carlson at a U.S. international level.
Yeah.
And two, just have the vet presence of, hey, calm things down, because he's won a Stanley Cup. He's also is just one of the best older American players that I feel like deserves to be a veteran presence on this team.
Yeah. I'm not going to take too much veteran presence because all these guys are experienced.
Yeah.
But obviously,
But you just want someone to be like the adult in the room.
That's fair. But at the end of the day, a lot of these guys are leaders on their team, so that's why I don't really lean into that much, and that's why the main reason why I usually left out Doughty, and then or he didn't put John Carlson in. So again, like you said, Lane Hudson has still been good. Is still one of the best defensemen in the NHL. The way he's been playing and how his rookie year was absolutely incredible. So again, similar play to John Carlson. I don't disagree with that. I just don't consider veteran presence too much here, just because these guys are already leaders on their own team, so they know how a locker room is. They know how to get people going and calm things down wherever it needs to be.
But here, this team has Kachuk brothers and JT Miller in the same locker room. Shit might go down at times too, so that's why that was another factor for me as well. That I
don't think that's gonna happen.
I think leadership to a certain degree does matter, because you just need someone to command the locker room presence. Obviously,
but you have
Canada has
people
Crosby,
who've been literal captains.
But Canada has Crosby and Doughty. Yeah, but literal captains doesn't mean that they're at the end of the day, JT Miller's a captain. People are saying, like, why was he captain for the Rangers type vibe, right? Like,
but you still have like Eichel, you still have Matthews, or leaders.
Which is fair, but then again, it clashes. But again,
that's the main reason why I don't lean into that personally, or I don't think as important. If someone's just more talented, that should be the deciding factor instead of, this guy just has more leadership experience.
But again, we're talking about extras here too, right? That's why I put it.
That's
it
fair,
in that
but like overall, for me, the talent is a deciding factor, and the upside. Instead of like the veteran
leader. From a lot of mine was too, but it was like maybe one spot where I considered it that way. But that's our defense overall. The snubs, I had Lane Hudson. You had obviously John Carlson. Jackson Lacombe.
Yeah,
for Anaheim, great year there as well. Seth Jones, the minute he got traded to Florida last year, he picked it up, especially when Ekblad was out for suspension suspensions, two suspensions, one in the playoffs and one in the regular
Seth
season.
Jones, and that's one guy I'll say if he plays really good this year, he could play his way onto a roster spot.
And last one I have is Noah Hanifin.
That's the one I was about to bring up as well.
But last but not least, the goalies for me, I just went with the same as last year. I went with Connor Hellebuck, who's back healthy now, Jake Ottinger, and Jeremy Swayman. The reason, I'll let you say for yours quickly.
Hellebuck, Demko, Otter.
Okay.
I'm giving it to Demko.
I took the bias to the side, and I'll explain why I went with Swayman over Demko. The reason why, listen, at the end of the day, these three guys made it last year. Hellebuck is going to be the guy leading the way.
You already know the guy is.
Yeah.
It's Hellebuck. So
Swayman made it last year because Demko was hurt. Swayman made it last year even though he was having a struggling year. This year, Swayman is having an amazing year. Is showing in the standings with Boston Bruins how good they've been playing. The other reason why I went with Swayman over Demko is not because Demko was injured during the year. Because listen, I've said this before. If Demko is healthy, he's the second best American goalie in the NHL, and he's a top 5 goalie. Period.
And Demko's healthy right now.
At this moment, but I'm scared of the potential injury, which is why I went with Jeremy Swayman.
I went with
Demko.
Demko.
I do not hate Thatcher Demko before you call me.
You hate Thatcher Demko.
Nah.
This
is very unbiased on my end. I'll just say that.
Yeah, it was a little bit too much unbiased. If he's healthy, he's top 3. He's making this roster.
I don't think he's gonna make the roster.
You can't just say that when healthy, this guy's a top 2 American goalie and not put him in the top 3 American goalies.
I went with more slight prediction with this one as well.
I'm just saying that. At the end of the day, that you cannot say that and then not have him in the top 3 American goalies, because at the end there's no fit. Fit doesn't matter. You're just picking the top 3 American goalies.
I get that.
So if he's in your top 3, he's in the top 3. He's in my top 3. So that's why he's there.
Fair, that's fine.
It's as simple as that.
I just went with why change it from last year. Swayman's been playing better. They're not going to change it.
But that's not going to change anything anyways.
That's why I just kept it at that. Now maybe the Demko shutout the New York Rangers and Mike Sullivan might select him for that reason. I don't know, but we'll see what ends up happening. It's just more of the injury concerns.
He might just get pissed off and be like, screw you.
I might just have the injury concerns down the stretch, and that's all. That's where I am concerned. I know at the end of the day he's going to be goaltender number 3 at the end of the day, even though I do have him second best American goalie. But in this case, he'll probably be goalie number 3.
Who cares?
We're picking hairs,
Who
man.
cares what goalie they pick? They have abundance of goalies they could.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what goalie they're picking. No matter who they pick, it's
We
still gonna be
all we know is Hellebuck is starting.
yeah. It's
And
still,
Orange is probably backup.
we no matter what goalie they pick, they're still gonna be the best trio in the Olympics, in terms of Olympic roster.
Okay. So speaking of goalies, I want to ask this on camera. First of all, my biggest snub outside of Demko is Spencer Knight with how amazing he's been.
Spencer Knight, yeah.
Joey Daccord. I know Seattle's been struggling as of late.
List goes on.
Yeah.
I know Dustin Wolf hasn't been good, but you could throw him in there. Like
Yeah.
literally, the American
Dustin Wolf's
goalies,
been better, yeah.
the American goalie list goes on and on.
I do want to ask you this because Russia is not in this, but we're looking at goalies specifically. Russia, USA, who's better? We know the pipeline is probably USA.
If you're talking about in the current moment, I would go with.
I lean slightly Russia this year.
I would lean USA in the current moment. If I'm going based on the best goalies, then I'm
Resume
going
is
with
Russia.
Right. If you're going with best goalies, if you're picking out at their best moments,
That's
then
Russia.
That's Russia.
But even right now, I'm arguing Russia is slightly better because Shesterkin is probably still the best goalie in the NHL. I know he's a conversation with Hellebuck. You could pick here, so whatever. Sorokin's having a bounce back year. Vasilevsky's in the conversation for Vezina once again. You still have Bobrovsky, who's a playoff monster. Like one of those guys, if there was a Russia roster, one of them is getting snubbed, which is
100%. Yeah,
most likely probably Sorokin. But overall, if I'm talking about the peak guys in terms of right now, picking the top four and top four, I'm leaning the slight edge.
If you're going top four, yeah, I don't know.
We know the depth overall is going to lean to USA.
Yeah, no, but look,
USA.
top four, you have Shesterkin, Vasilevsky, who once was the best
in the NHL.
Not anymore. So if you're going in
but still,
this moment,
still in Vezina conversation this year.
This year, yeah, okay, but we've seen his play decline. That's a fact for that, or be a little bit more inconsistent. Bobrovsky is inconsistent because this guy doesn't do good in the regular season, and then just show up in the playoffs. And again, in the playoffs, he has been a little bit inconsistent here and there. And the main one being that when the Florida Panthers allowed the Oilers to come back 0-3 in their first matchup, and then Sorokin. Yeah, he's a very talented goalie. He was really bad last year. He's been really good this year. So obviously, you give him the really good. You just say the last year was more. Yeah. You just say last year was an anomaly for Sorokin.
But
this year, look, in recent couple of years, Hellebuck is number one, Shesterkin is number two in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's fair to say. So Hellebuck has the edge there. Demko, Ottinger, Vasilevsky at the moment I feel like are similar. Again, inconsistent. Or no, I'll say Ottinger and Bobrovsky, inconsistent, but are very talented goaltenders, right? The other one I'm going to say, Swayman and Sorokin are very similar. Coming off a bad year.
So it's pretty much they're neck and neck. Yeah. Just pick your poison at this
point. So then Demko and Vasilevsky, again, obviously, you probably give the edge to Vasilevsky.
One problem is the injuries, one guy's the age.
That's
what it is.
That's the it. So, but at the
that's
why I kind of lean.
Yeah.
Because Hellebuck, for me, Hellebuck's number one in the moment.
Yeah.
That's why I lean towards the U.S.
Again,
everyone else is pretty much equal for me.
Yeah, no wrong answer at the end of the day, but I just wanted to get the slight conversation.
Again, it's a literal conversation because
it sucks that Russia's not going to be in there. We're not going to see Ovechkin. We all know why. We don't need to get into details about that. But overall, last question before we close out this episode. Captain, I mentioned it earlier. We know they're probably going to stick with Matthews. They're not going to make any big changes.
I'll give him Matthews.
But does he still deserve it? Because you still have Jack Eichel. You have Matthew Tkachuk. I know he's not the captain of his team.
Look.
Quinn Hughes, who was once a captain.
This is not a conversation about who's the best player. This is a conversation about who can lead. It's as simple as that.
But do you believe in Matthews, who's having a struggle this year, and you might not give it to Jack Eichel, who's kind of was in heart conversations this year?
Look, this doesn't matter.
Or Matthew Tkachuk, who's the heart and soul.
If you're Olympic and you're captain, it doesn't matter. It matters about who can lead. If it matters about who's playing better, who's the best player, then McDavid should be captain over Crosby.
Yeah, that's different. That's why I didn't bring up this in the conversation.
So that's why in this sense, Crosby's better at leading. That's why he's captain. And obviously, he's more experienced.
Matthews is struggling leading the Maple Leafs.
That is fair.
That's why I brought up the conversation here.
Yeah, but that's the question here. I'm not saying that Matthews deserves to be captain. I'm just saying that it doesn't matter. His play, him not playing like Austin Matthews, shouldn't matter as much.
Fine, that's fine.
Because if he's a good leader, he's a good leader. That's all that matters.
I'm just saying, even if you bring the leadership type of things, Craig Berube called out the Maple Leafs leadership recently.
Yeah, and that's the case. Yeah, then.
But for me,
he's gonna
get it. But I think I would love to see Matthew
Yeah,
Tkachuk with it.
I would
Or
see Eichel.
one
I
of the
wouldn't
two.
say give it to Matthew.
I would love
Tkachuk.
to. I mean, yeah, normally I would say Quinn Hughes, but we know how the tenure ended.
No, only other
over
person I'll
there
give it
as
to is
well.
Eichel, if it's not Matthews.
Okay, but pretty much wraps it up for us. Once again, comment down below your Team USA roster. And what are your thoughts on it? Who do we leave out that you should include? Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We're almost at 200 subscribers. We would love to hit that by the end of the year. We appreciate the support we've been getting so far these recent weeks. But once again, we'll catch you guys on the next one.
Peace.